Hey everyone, it's Fentony. Welcome back to the channel. We have a brand new trailer from House of the Dragon, episode 5 onwards. And you'll know that episode 5 is the last episode with our two leading ladies. And it features the wedding of Rhaenyra and Rhaenyra Velaryon. So you know it's going to be a big episode. And then after that we have the 10-year time skip from the end of the episode on to episode 6 and beyond. So many characters have grown up. And so many brand new characters will be introduced to the story. And this is where it really picks up and those dragons start to take flight. So as always, we'll break down this trailer scene by scene, take a look at some of the new clips and pictures as well. We have a lot to cover, so let's get to this. But quickly, just before we start, if you like what you see here, please consider subscribing, throw a like on the video as well, turn on those notifications. And the opening scene is Damon on Caraxes. And you can tell it's Caraxes because of his body design, his long neck and the wings on his back legs. Caraxes is a deformed dragon, very different than every other dragon we've seen so far. I know some people get him mixed up with Rhaenys' dragon, Meleys, because they're both red, but no, Caraxes is unique. And I'm not exactly sure where this scene is taking place. It's either on Dragonstone or Driftmark, obviously. Dragonstone is the seat of House Targaryen, and of course it's also the headquarters for the Blacks, one of the two factions fighting for the Iron Throne, but we also know there will be a big funeral scene on Driftmark, so it's one of the two, it's 50-50. And then we can see Aegon, the son of Viserys and Alicent, who will later be known as Aegon II. This seems to be some sort of training scene in the Red Keep, in a courtyard, and he's fighting another Targaryen. It can't be his dad, as his dad is falling apart. Can't be Damon, so it has to be his brother Aemon, the third child of Alicent and Viserys, who is later known as Aemon One Eye when he loses an eye and he wears an eye patch. And I think the show has made a good effort making some of the lesser liked characters in the book feel more sympathetic, and Aegon and his brother will rank as two of the characters you're going to hate the most. But I have seen a lot of people say, oh, this guy looks like Damon, is that Matt Smith? No, it's a different person. But he does look very similar. They're obviously related and Targaryens have inbred that much. But I think that's the point. They're kind of meant to look like each other. It's not a loving relationship, but it looks like Aemon's cosplaying his uncle. And you'll notice Aegon has green clothes under his armour. And of course this is signalling the Greens, the second faction of House Targaryen. And all the characters that will join that faction, green will become a very prominent colour even before the faction is officially established. And it's Alicent who kicks the trend off in episode 5 when she attends Rhaenyra's wedding in a green dress. Green for House Hightower. And she is the real power behind Aegon's faction. Because remember, Dance of the Dragons is basically the Blacks versus the Greens, Rhaenyra's claim versus Aegon's claim. But Alicent is the real power behind her son. The Blacks obviously wear more of the standard colours, red and black for House Targaryen, such as Damon and Rhaenyra, and the Greens wear green for House Hightower. And the name comes from the dress worn, in the books anyways, from the 5th anniversary of the King and Queen's wedding. At the tourney, Alicent wears a green dress, Rhaenyra wears black. But I don't think that'll happen on the show, I don't think we'll see another tourney for that. I think it substitutes for the wedding, and that's where the green and black comes from. Where Alicent wears a green dress to her stepdaughter's wedding. In the books there's a tourney to celebrate this wedding, but it's kind of been combined with the wedding itself, so I think that's what's going to happen with the tourney where the dress colours come from. It's going to be combined with the wedding. Because tourneys are big scenes, very costly, very time consuming, and it would be repetitive if you filmed too many, especially within a few episodes. It happens a lot in the books, but you don't need to have one every few episodes. And I think the wedding is the best place to substitute all these events. And Alicent will play more of a key role now, as her dad got the boot in the last episode. He's gone. He was fired as Hand of the King. But he has groomed her for this role, and her purpose now is to get her son Aegon on the Iron Throne. She doesn't want to rule herself, she's got no claim at all, but her son, if you ask so many lords in the realm, they will agree, he is the heir. So really it's Rhaenyra versus Aegon, but it's Alicent versus Rhaenyra at the same time as well. Two friends, now sworn enemies. And Otto has placed the fear of God into Alicent, that when Viserys dies, Rhaenyra will get rid of her and her kids. She needs to pray for mercy or take the matters into her own hands. Get Aegon as king, get rid of Rhaenyra. But the dance hasn't actually started yet. The events are leading up to it, but the actual conflict begins towards the end of season 1. Dragons will fight, but it's really season 2 onwards where it really kicks off. And it's going to be so hard watching them rip each other apart. But yes, now we're going to skim over some of the minor shots, and we will stop for the more important scenes. First up, we can see a House Targaryen ship. I think this is in the episode 5 trailer, so it must be Viserys travelling to Driftmark with his proposal for Corlys Velaryon. It's not really a battleship, it's more of a cruise ship designed to sail along Blackwater Bay. Then we can see a big castle, probably Harrenhal, which is the largest castle in the realm, and that's where the Great Council of 101 took place. It's the only place where you could fit everyone. It's almost in the centre of Westeros, and it's just so damn big. To me, it looks like Harrenhal because the walls are all charred, and remember, Aegon the Conqueror and Balerion the Black Dread set this castle in flame many, many years ago. The occupants at the time held themselves up in their castle, felt indestructible behind their massive walls, but against Dragonfire, against Balerion the Black Dread, they had no chance. But the castle is still in use, and it has changed hands so many times. Currently, House Strong have it, and their lord is the Hand of the King, Lionel Strong, but like I said, there's rumours this castle is cursed, and no house actually keeps it for very long. And you've probably noticed most of Season 1 has been centred in and around King's Landing. We did go to other places like Harrenhal in the prologue, Dragonstone, Driftmark, so on. But we will open up later and in Season 2 onwards. It's not like Game of Thrones where you've got dozens of characters all over Westeros and then Essos. House of the Dragon is more focused around the capital, but it will expand beyond the walls of King's Landing. Yeah, we get a shot of a battle sequence. Can't make out what this is, can't make out who's fighting, but remember, not all the fighting in the dance takes place on Dragonback. And this is my personal favourite shot, my boy Caraxes flying through Dragonfire, either his own or another dragon. You can tell it's him because of the body shape, the long neck and the back legs give it away. Remember, Caraxes is deformed, and he can only really fly because he's got extra wings on the back of his legs. But he's my favourite, and I'm getting a Smaug vibe when he flies through that flame. But he's not the biggest and most powerful dragon. That title belongs to Vhagar, the last dragon from Aegon's conquest. And she is a monster. I think this is Rhaenyra Velaryon flying with her family to the wedding in King's Landing. And you'll remember in episode 2, Rhaenyra asked the king about Vhagar. And she was currently a wild dragon who did not have a rider. So Rhaenyra went out and got her. But supposedly at the end of episode 2, that scene was cut. They actually bonded, but they cut it for some reason. Whether the scene didn't work out or they just didn't want to put it in the episode. Stuff hits the cutting room floor all the time. But perhaps because Vhagar bonds with another rider later on, you don't want to do it twice, it kind of feels like overkill. But a little girl bonding with the Queen of the Dragons, how could you cut that? It's an absurdity, but okay. Then we can see older Rhaenyra, her husband Laenor and their kids. And obviously we'll address the elephant in the room. They all have black hair, whilst their parents have the long blonde silvery Valyrian hair. They are obviously not Laenor's kids. But these kids are still raised as Velaryons, but of course there are people in the realm that take little digs at their parentage. Then we can see Corlys Velaryon on the Driftwood throne in Driftmark. Probably from episode 2 when Viserys comes to ask him for the wedding. The king is coming to your front door, and after what happened with Alicent, Corlys, he's going to make the most of this. And then we can see Viserys' crown, probably after he's popped his clogs. And this crown first belonged to his grandfather and the king before him, Jaehaerys. And the Targaryens have had many crowns over their dynasty. This one's a big deal because it belonged to the previous king, so it's kind of a symbol of the right to rule, being the legit heir. And remember, the two claimants are Rhaenyra and Aegon. But there will be more than one crown. Another crown comes into the mix, and that's the crown of Aegon the Conqueror, which of course is arguably more prestigious. Then we can see more of Damon flying on Caraxes, and he reaches out his hand, so someone is flying next to him. Either Laena on Vhagar or Rhaenyra on Syrax. And this seems to be the ideal Valyrian date for Damon. Screw the movies, screw a lovely meal, let's go fly some dragons. No wonder he's not happy in his own marriage with the bronze bitch. You know, she's lovely and all, but this is what he wants. He wants someone that can go out and fly a dragon with him. But yes, moving on, we can see Harwin Strong punching Sir Criston Cole in the training yard. This might be where he gets his Breakbones nickname. Maybe something said, maybe it's just one of them macho moments. Maybe something said about Rhaenyra. Then we can see Damon and his wife, Rhea Royce, as he calls her the bronze bitch. He's either pushing the horse, or is he trying to stop it bucking? I don't know, but we know that Damon doesn't love his wife. But would he really kill her? It might be an accident, but he gets accused, or it might be left ambiguous, and you have to make up your own mind. And then we can see smoke from a fire, or maybe a maester with some sort of incense. I don't know, it's too blurry to make out. Could be Harrenhal, who knows. Guys, we're almost done, but we can see Rhaenyra and Damon, the two main figures of the Blacks, And we know this is later in the season as Damon's hair is now shoulder length and Rhaenyra is played by the older actress, Emma D'Arcy. And now we can see Damon gatecrashing Rhaenyra and Laenor's wedding. And there is a brand new scene. They're on the dance floor together and they speak in Valyrian. Damon tells her Laenor's not good enough. He wants her, but it's too late. But of course this marriage is just a marriage for political sake. There's no love. So outside marital affairs are definitely on the table. But Damon wants Rhaenyra as his wife in the old ways of Valyria. They share the blood of the dragon. They are very, very similar. Fiery, passionate. But I don't think Damon has been invited to this wedding. He was banished for supposedly sleeping with Rhaenyra. And then of course he asked her father for her hand in marriage. So the king kicked him out. But he's back. So I'm interested to see the king's reaction. We can see him cutting his meat. And he looks up and he's like, oh god, here we go. He looks concerned that Damon is speaking to her. But it seems like Damon has been allowed to stay. Maybe he's been forgiven, maybe proven it didn't happen, or maybe the king just didn't want to make a scene. Maybe Rhaenyra asks her dad to let Damon stay, just for one night. You know weddings are never dull affairs in Westeros, that's for sure. And the king's got enough to worry about. His health has taken a turn for the worse. I think he'll spend a lot of time in his bedchambers, in the room taken up mostly by the Valyrian model. And in a behind the scenes interview, it was mentioned that Viserys suffers from leprosy. His time is numbered. Just look at this. He is frail, hunched over, hair falling out, requires a walking stick and a mask to hide the sores on his face. And this is actually really sad. Even though he's made some bad decisions as a king and a man and as a father and a husband, I like him. He's one of the best characters in this show. And it's going to be hard to watch his decline and soon death. Yes, now we see the final bit. The mighty Vhagar flying overhead. She's a beast. Largest, most powerful dragon, but she does have drawbacks. It does take a lot of effort to get her in the air, and her legs cannot support that weight. She's not the quickest, but when you get her going, nobody beats her one-on-one. And there is this chart floating about, I've seen it on Twitter. I'm not sure if it's 100% accurate, but remember, dragons keep growing until they run out of space, food, or die. And Vhagar is second only to the Black Dread, but the Black Dread is past now, so Vhagar is the queen. And she's miles ahead of everyone else. She's been around since the conquest, whereas the other dragons are second or third generation. But yes guys, that'll do for today. Make sure you post your thoughts and theories from episode 5 onwards. We're getting to the time skip now, and the second half of this season is going to kick it up a gear or two. More characters, more dragons, more action, more deceit, and we love it all. And of course I've already done an episode 5 trailer breakdown, and I'll do a review when the episode drops. But yes guys, if you want to get all my House of the Dragon videos, all my Rings of Power, all the Witcher stuff as well, so much more, just check the channel, check all the playlists, you'll find stuff you like, fantasy and other movies and TV shows. If you made it this far, I'd really appreciate a like on this video, and don't forget to turn those notifications on to make sure you get all the videos. But I think that'll do it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.